So today I'm joined by Kimberly Cook, is it? I don't even remember now. Yes, Kimberly Cook. I'm such a terrible host. Anyway, so Kimberly Cook is a fourth grade teacher from New Jersey. Have you had any experience with coding at all, Kimberly?
Very little. It was over the past week that I took a coding professional development, and that's all the experience I've had, so I'm really excited about this.
Okay, so what does coding mean to you then?
Oh no, I don't know if I have a formal definition.
What do you think of when you think of coding?
I think just the behind the scenes of how to run a website, like if you click something, like something happens internally to bring you to a new page. So almost like a set of directions.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead. So, Kim here is going to explain a little bit more about herself and introduce herself to our audience. And so we could just get to know her a little bit. So, I'll let you take the mic and you could go for it.
Sure. I just graduated college in May, or graduated, I guess, in parentheses with everything going on. And I'm going into my first year of teaching. Like she said, I'll be going into fourth grade, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have this in my toolbox and something that I can use either in the classroom or online, pending what this coming year brings. So I'm really, really excited to be here.
Awesome. So, Kim here has already created an account on Elementari. She's just going to create a new story and we're going to start from scratch. Today's topic is coding a two truths and one lie game. So this can be done for back to school to get to know the kids or, just for fun because you want to, send it to someone. So we're going to start a brand new story to, send it to someone. And great. So she has a tutorial open because she's never created a story before. We're just going to cancel out of the tutorial. We're going to ignore that. And
Good.
great. So the first step is you'll notice that there's a page. It looks just like Google Slides or PowerPoint, whatever presentation tool is out there. Very similar. And this will be your title page. So this will be the thumbnail also of your story. So generally you want to make it look kind of like a thumbnail. So how about let's, add a background image. So go to backgrounds.
Right. Is that right here?
Yep.
Ooh, so many choices.
Yeah, and then you could just scroll down and have some fun and pick a background that you like.
I could spend hours doing this. We'll do this one. Oh, perfect.
Okay, great. So now you're gonna add a title to it. Maybe call it like Two Truths, One Lie, Kimberly, or What You Didn't Know About Kim, What You Wish You Knew. Awesome. So if you wanted to play around with it, you can change the font, you can change the color, you can change the alignment, all those things, and you can take the little circles on the corners and also resize them if you want. So you can make the text bigger or smaller quite easily.
Oh, wow. Very easy to use. Awesome.
Yeah, and then if you wanted, Kim Cook, you just have two lines. You could make just click on the text box, and then drag the side. The side. You have to exit the text box.
Yep.
Yeah, right there.
There we go.
There you go. Now you have it in two lines. It was kind of weird in three lines. So
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get started by creating a new page. So you could click on the plus page button. Yep, right there. You're really good at this. And we're going to grab some buttons because buttons are probably the easiest way to navigate to another page. So the idea behind this project is we're going to have 3 buttons. You're going to have 2 of them be the truth statements, and 1 button is going to be the false or fib, lie statement. Depending on what age your kids are, you might want to say fib. I don't know. So great. You're going to go on there and go to the widgets tab and just grab a button. Yeah. So you might as well grab 3. You can also just click on it to add it to the page so you don't have to keep dragging.
Oh, awesome.
Kids like dragging though, so I don't know. Makes them happy. So then you're going to go into the button, and just like a text box, you can change the text. So go ahead and change up the text to whatever statement you want it to be. I like chocolate. I have a cat. I don't know. Whatever. I can't do a cartwheel.
Should I go ahead and do the other
Yeah,
one?
just do the other ones. So on a funny side note, so I'm currently live streaming from France, and people in France don't like Parisians. Parisians and French people are like kind of like different people, kind of like how everyone hates New Yorkers, but worse. So, and right now people are making fun of Parisians because with the lockdown and just limiting of transport between, just you can't drive as often as you can now. People are now learning how to ride bicycles. So now you have like bicycle learning classes for adults because they never learned how to ride a bike.
It's tricky to do when you're adult because it's so much easier to learn when you're younger. So
yeah,
so everyone trying that out.
Yeah, people are making fun of them right now. They're like, you city Parisians don't even know how to ride a bike. So anyway. So now you have your 3 buttons, and just like with a text box, if you want, you can make it pretty, add different colors to it, do whatever you want. So you can change the font style. So you can have super curly font that's impossible to read. Lots of things like that. Okay, so you're going to have different font for each one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why not?
Exactly. So now I want you to click on the button at the top called Event Graph. So yes,
up here?
Right there. Click on that. And it flips the page to the back side. So the back side of the page is where you code your interactions. You can use Elementari and not code at all. So if you're like a kindergartner, first grader, maybe you don't know how to read quite yet, then you can just use the pictures and write your picture book and stick with that. But I would say starting second grade, when you can like actually read okay and you're interested in coding, then you click on the event graph to go to the back side. So you can code by connecting blocks together. You said you did a PD on coding. Did you use like Scratch or something like that?
It was through code.org.
Okay, so code.org.
That's all the experience I have.
No problem. That's a lot more than most people I know. So you're already way ahead in your knowledge of coding. So code.org also uses blocks similar to Scratch or Tinker, things like that. Our blocks are different. You'll see. So the first thing you're going to want is you're going to want an event. So an event tells you basically when you're going to do something. So you have a whole bunch of events. You have on page start, on click once. In our case, we want to use the event on click. So you're going to get an on click event. And this is because we're going to click on the buttons. So you could grab 3 of them. We could do all 3 of them at the same time. It's very similar. Great.
All right.
Okay. Oh, you have 4. You can delete
4.
it by,
I'm wondering where the other one went. All right.
It was on top. Okay, so let's move the other 2 on clicks out of the way. So we're just going to ignore them for now. And to make it a little bit easier, you can click on the little, next to the delete, you have a little square. Yeah. And you can go full screen. So you can go full screen, and so it's just easier to work with. So great. We're going to grab now a function. Do you remember what a function is? You're like, this is like school.
No. Okay, so if that tells you when, does a function tell you what?
Yeah, you got it. So a function tells you what you're going to do. It's the action. So click on functions. Okay. You have a lot of different functions, and it just basically tells you what you're going to do. In our specific case, we are probably going to either display something on the page, or I think the easiest would be to navigate to a different page. So we're going to drag, go down. There's a block called go to page. Yeah, right there.
All right. That's awesome.
Okay, so go to page. Great. So let's exit out for right now. You could just click on the big map, the grid. Click on the grid. That's what it's called, grid. Yeah. So you can leave it in full screen or you can not. It doesn't really matter too much. And yes. So now we're going to decide what we're going to click on. So what are we clicking on? In our case, we're going to click on
one of the facts?
Yeah.
One of the buttons?
Yeah, we're going to click on the buttons.
Okay.
So you go to objects and you have the list of all the objects that are on the page. So pick the one you want to work on first.
We'll do this one first.
Okay, great. So you could just click on the grid again to close it. So now we have 3 blocks. Well, technically we have 5, but we're going to ignore the other 2 on the right-hand side. We have 3 blocks we're going to work on, and they are on click, go to page, and this object button. So now I want you to try to figure out how to connect the blocks together to make them work. Don't worry, it's not a timed thing or anything.
The only connections I see, we have these little purple circles and then white triangles that I'm assuming maybe have something to do together.
Just try it out. Try it out. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Connect those, and then do I connect those?
And voila. Hooray,
so
hurrah.
awesome.
So right now, your code is saying, you've written your first line of code in Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying, when I can't do cartwheel is clicked, go to page 1. So right now it's on page 1, but you can later change the page that you want to go to. So let's exit out of full screen mode so you can just see how it looks like. So press preview at the top. So you have a button preview and publish preview. And you will preview this page code now. So now you can click on I can't do a cartwheel. I think that's the one we used. And it goes to page 1.
That's awesome.
Okay. So now the idea is you're going to create a page for each of your facts or lie about yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you can write a little bit more that explains the context. So ideally, this would be like an activity where then the kids can then add like, oh, I like chocolate. And it's like, oh, my favorite type of chocolate is actually white chocolate because it tastes the sweetest, Or I like chocolate, but, I really like chocolate chip cookies the most. They can add more to just elaborate on their fact or their lie in this case.
This could be a great back to school night. If instead of putting a student's name, see if a parent can figure out which one's their child. That could be fun to do.
How well do you know your child?
That would be so funny. Oh, I love that. Okay.
This is not a test, but it is a test.
But it is because you're with them most of the time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So you can click the orange button. Yep. And then you want to create your other pages. So you just click on the plus page. Yeah, that kind of reminds me, I remember I watched a video where they were interviewing random people, random families. And then they asked the dad, so what's your daughter's birthday? And then
oh, no.
The dad was like,
no. That's a yikes. That's a big yikes.
And then they asked the mom the question, when's your daughter's birthday? And the mom's like, it's on blah, 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 blah. And then it was like, oh, so what's your daughter's favorite best friend? It's like, it's blah, blah, blah. And they had 5 kids. So it was pretty intense. And then you just saw the dad's face just go like this on camera.
That's so great.
I was like,
that is
yeah.
So good.
I mean, it's okay. My dad never really remembered my birthday either. It's not really
This is not 2 truths and a lie. This is do my parents know my birthday?
Okay, so you're going to go back to the layout because then you can actually design your page. Also, I'm going to show you something. There's a little arrow key. So, not an arrow, a little triangle, upside down triangle next to the plus page sign.
Ooh.
So, yeah, click on that. And basically, this allows you to have some templates, and you can also duplicate a page. So I'll show you the duplicate page a little bit later because we can do 2 truths and a lie, X number of times using this duplicate page button. But like this is really good for kids because oftentimes they write on backgrounds that make their writing illegible. So pink on pink, light pink on white, things like that.
Any neons on top of each other that you just don't want to see.
Yes. So you want to use this, and it's pretty helpful. So it also lets them have an understanding that, okay, for example, if you do like, let's say the first or the second one, the one that you're hovering on, either one works. Just click on it. Yeah. Ooh. So then you can imagine like, okay, you can type your paragraph, your extra sentences in this area. And on the other part, you can then add images and also add little maybe speech bubbles if you wanted to
That's really awesome.
Make it a little more fun. So let's do I can't do cartwheels. So is this I guess we'll know.
I cannot do a cartwheel.
You can't do cartwheels.
I guess I have tried to learn how to do a cartwheel, but have never been able to do it.
Great.
Maybe I need a little more practice.
Yeah. So then you can also, if you want, add an image. So you go to the image tab. You can click on that. And there's a whole bunch of illustrations that you can basically browse through. You can also sort by the category. And so you have like humans or animals or creatures, things like that.
Anybody doing a cartwheel?
Probably somewhere. I don't really know. Maybe the girl with the pink. She looks like she's about to start one.
That's a good one, yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I get that far, but then whenever I actually hit the ground, it just goes south from there.
Okay, great. So, yeah, you can then add like a speech bubble and stuff, but we'll go on to go back to the other page and show what would happen if you were to get your lie. So let's create our 3 kind of pages, let's say.
Okay. Can I move this down?
Yeah, so you grab in the top left-hand corner, yeah, you can drag it down like that.
All right, so we'll put that there. Which one do I want to do next? Which one should I do next?
Doesn't matter, it's up to you.
We'll do the Georgia one. And this is one that I like to use when I'm doing 2 truths and a lie because most of my family is from the Northeast, but for whatever reason, my family had to move before I was here. They had to move, and so my older brother was actually born in Georgia. So I always use that one, and then I'll be like, nah, it's actually my brother. So.
Oh, great. I was born in Arizona, so in the desert.
Oh my goodness, in the heat.
You have like scorpions, scary spiders.
Oh my goodness, I would never be able to. I get deer where I am, so get used to seeing deer and having to be careful when I'm walking my dog and I see a deer and I'm like, no, please don't attack the deer. And then my last one, I was in marching band.
What did you play?
I played clarinet, and I still play it, and I love it. Obviously, sadly, there's not bands happening right now with everything going on, so just finding my ways to keep playing and keep music in my life.
Nice. I was in marching band too for just a year, though. It was a bit too intense. I played flute. I also played.
I would love to learn to play flute.
I also learned how to play French horn for about 2 years because there was a lack of French horns in my band.
Yep. Yep. That's that's typical. Oh my, that's quite the switch right there. From a
Um,
woodwind to a brass.
yeah, I was quite musical. I thought I would be a musician pretty
Mm-hmm.
much for a long period of my life. I mean, I played violin. I played flute pretty competitively, but I kind of
Mm-hmm.
stopped after college. So
Yeah,
it's hard. Great. So
definitely is.
basically, let's go back to your 3 buttons, and we need to tell the reader what they're supposed to do. Like, are they supposed to find the truth or are they supposed to find the lie?
That would be good. That would be good to do.
Because depending on what the win condition is, you would have different things happening.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Should I add a text?
Yeah, you could just add a text at the top.
All right. Do We'll add a little small one. Do we want them finding the truth or finding the lies? That's hard. We'll do true. We'll see if people really know me.
Okay, great. So we have navigation now to the slides that have more information, but we don't really have a navigation back. And we haven't completed the navigation process, so we have to do that now. So I think the first step would be to finish the navigating from the buttons to the 3 slides that you just created. So to code, we need to go to the,
Event graph.
yep, event graph.
Awesome. Go full screen here.
So then it might not be good to go full screen because you need to know what page you're going to go to. Like I
Will
can't
not go
do
full screen.
yeah, I can't do cartwheels is which page?
3.
Yeah, so you just click on the one with the little click on that. Might have click and then
Perfect.
choose 3. Great, so you're done with that one. And then you just have to do it for the other 2 buttons.
Awesome. All right. I'll move these. Take up a little less space. And I'll get these back in the picture over here. Okay, so then I have to have the
Just
function.
click. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I need to get the events.
Try clicking.
Had them backwards. I need the functions. And then I take the same ones.
Are we doing the same thing? Kind of?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to grab the go-to page. And you could grab another one.
All right.
Other one.
All right. Then should I connect these or do I need to grab these, don't I? I really, really love how this is laid out. This is making a lot of sense to me so far, and it's my first time using it. So well done.
Yeah, so we didn't really invent anything. In fact, this type of coding is called, the fancy term is it's a node-based programming language. And oftentimes we have this, just ignore the language, it's it's actually used in professional software. So we sometimes think that, visual coding or coding with blocks is just for babies, and like real coders, they're like, keyboard ninjas
Yeah.
that go on their keyboard and
think
type
that.
like this.
Yeah.
And then code appears on their screen and magic happens. So that's some people are like that, but
Hmm.
you do have software that makes it easier for people to code. And they
Hmm.
use blocks like we do. And the one I always refer to is a game development engine called Unreal Engine. So you don't know the engine, obviously, but you definitely know the games that it's produced. And primary among them are Fortnite, Kingdom
Hmm.
Hearts 3, Final Fantasy 7 Remake. They make like hundreds and hundreds of games from indies to the big blockbuster like hits sort of thing. So they have a visual coding environment, and they also have an event graph that they use
Uh-huh.
that has blocks that you can drag together and code your animations or whatever. So we take
That's
from them.
great. And I think that's really, really important for students to know, like, this is what they actually do. Like, I had that misconception. I thought all coders, no matter what, just sat and slammed away on the keyboard, but this is really awesome. So thank you for walking me through it.
No problem. So yes, I mean, most
All right.
coders right now, they do have text-based things, but
Mhm.
if there are ways in the future to make our lives easier, then why not make it easier?
100%
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah, it's the same thing like now when we write essays, we don't exactly need to spell everything right? We have a spell
Hmm.
checker that kind of does that for us. And right now when I code, I don't necessarily need to make sure that I have my semicolons everywhere, because my checker will check for me and tell me if I did something syntactically wrong. I don't even know if that's a word.
Wow.
So
We'll say it is.
yeah, and there's a lot of now like shortcuts that you can do just to make coding easier, and it's no longer like when you take Python a long time ago. That's like, does this look right? Is this right? And it's like, no,
You're
we
like, I don't know.
we moved on a little bit. We're focusing on finishing a product rather than like doing the grammar and the
Hmm.
structure and things. So yeah,
That's
that's a little bit
awesome.
about
I
that.
did not know that.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to the minimize the view so you can see what pages you have to navigate to.
Awesome. Okay, so this one is Georgia. So Georgia is page 4. Go ahead and do the same thing with that. And then, oh, I didn't know you could drag it. That makes life so much easier. And then marching band is page 5. Awesome.
Great. So now you have the navigation to the page, so we can try that. So
Hmm.
let's press preview. And you can press preview at the top. And then click on something and we'll see if it works.
All right, marching band brings me to marching band. Awesome.
Great. So now we're at marching band, and you have to say whether or not it's the truth or it's the lie, and then
Hmm.
maybe you want to navigate back to the question.
Hmm.
So let's go to the slides now and figure out the navigation for that.
Perfect. All right, so I'll put here that. I'm gonna just put put truth on this one just so they know it's true. Put false on this one so they know it's false. And we'll put true on this one so they know it's true. All right. All right.
Great. So now you can figure out which ones you want to navigate back to, or maybe you want to navigate back always. So
Okay.
you would just grab either a button again. So just to let you know, you don't always have to click on a button to navigate. You can also click on anything to navigate. But in our case, buttons are nice because you can put text in them and they look like buttons and you can hover them.
Yeah.
So
There we go.
so then you can say go back, try again, or whatever.
Like go back.
Okay, so then you want to code this page. So each page has its own code. So then you click on event graph again, and then you do everything all over again. And we're only focusing on this one function, but it does a lot. So can you figure it out now?
I'm going to start with what I know, which I'm pretty sure I will grab the button that says go back.
Yep.
Because that's what we're going to do something with. And then, so the event is, I would guess on click, if they click it, it would make them go back.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then we need something to connect them. And then would it also be a go to page, because it's going to re-navigate them to the different page?
Yep, you're going to use the same function.
This is awesome. All right, so connect that, and then should we bring them back to the title page or to the fact page?
Up to you. Whatever you want to bring them back to.
If you haven't learned, I'm a very indecisive person, so I'm really bad at making decisions. I'll put them back to the fact page. Awesome.
Great. So then you just have to do the other ones the same thing, and then we'll test it out and make sure everything works. And then you got your 2 truths, 1 lie mini game.
This is great. Okay, so then I need to add a button here. Move that over. I also like it because it gets you into a pattern. So it's like, oh, I've done this once. Now can I redo it, but in almost like a different context, because you have different types of buttons.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You can also make like a quiz, and it's the same logic.
Ooh, that's a great idea. I will be taking that with me.
So it's the same logic for a quiz. You have very similar logic if you want to like turn your quiz into like an escape room. It's very, very, very similar.
Ooh.
So, because the key point.
Not done an escape room.
Oh,
that's an idea. That's something I do want to do.
So just as a tip, one thing that you can do to make things faster, like if you were to make a quiz, is you can use the duplicate to just, make each question. And that way you don't have to keep coding the back over and over again with the same one. You just have your template and then you just duplicate it. So we can try that out, and you can just see what it looks like.
Saves me a lot of time, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so once you publish your story, it becomes public. So you have a public accessible URL, so you can share that out on your Google Classroom, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, email, it doesn't matter. And the cool thing is that once it's published, anyone can remix it. So a remix basically takes your story and copies it, and they can modify and change it however they want. And
that's great.
Yeah, so when they publish it, it automatically also credits and notifies you since you're the original author of this story. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so one thing that teachers can do is they can, you can create your 2 truths, 1 lie template and just have your students work on, filling in their 2 truths and 1 lie. And that way they don't have to, code everything from scratch. I mean, it's good to code things from scratch, but it does take time. And if you don't have like enough time, or you're just trying to introduce them to the tool, remixes are a great way to get started with that, because they don't have to have everything at once. They could just focus on, figuring out how to resize images on a page and, typing on a keyboard okay, and
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. The
things like
keyboarding too.
that. So, so it's not too many concepts at once, but just taking what they
Mhm.
kind of already know and applying it on a different platform and having fun with the images, and you can add speech
Yeah.
bubbles and stuff. So great. So let's go to page 1 and let's just press preview to try it out.
I also like one thing I'm seeing is like the little save button comes up. So like I like that there's no worrying about students like, oh my gosh, I didn't save it. It looks like it's saving on its own.
Yeah, it auto saves.
That's
So
awesome.
you could just swipe left or right, or you could click on the arrow. Um, you could also navigate using your arrow keys on your keyboard. So click on any button. We're just going to test it out to make sure everything works. So testing is really important because it's a process of debugging, revising,
Mhm.
things like that. And when you have students try it out, they're gonna forget to put what page they're gonna go to. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have a lot of mistakes maybe. Yeah, so
Yeah.
just click
So
through.
important to learn through mistakes. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I'm going to this one. Oh my gosh.
And there
That's
you
so
go.
awesome.
So yeah, we took a little bit of time and went through everything, and of course I chatted a lot, and this format is just chiller for me. We do have a tutorial video specifically on GoToPage, so you can also just show that to kids, and it's like, I don't know, 3 minutes or something. It just shows exactly what blocks they need and how they
Mhm.
connect them. Um, and yeah, I hope you had a good time with this. We only covered GoToPage, but we have other functions. We can continue working on your book, or we could just chat or chat while working on your book. It doesn't matter. Like, for example, you can add a background music to it, or maybe you want to fade in a character, or you want to make a character play a voiceover when you click on him, or you want to maybe have your voiceover play when it starts. Those are all options that you can do that are, I think, really great for especially, fourth graders. And fourth
Mhm.
graders, for the most part, I've seen that they can code pretty independently. So that's the good news, because I have some teachers who are like, I have toddlers. Can I use elementary? I'm like, can your kids even read? Like, it's going to be a little tough.
Yeah.
We can make it work, but it's a little more
We'll
difficult.
play around. Yeah.
It's more difficult. It's less like, okay, kids, here you go. Here's a website. Here's your login information.
Yeah.
Bye. Have fun.
I can't find the R key. Where's the R key? Yeah, it's like definitely with toddlers, definitely helping them navigate the keyboard first of all, and then navigate the website.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the rest of the time we just chill. You can let me know if you want to do anything on this specific story, or we can just, talk about life, and you can talk about yourself
Um,
and how you're interested in the school year, or how you're interested maybe in using this with your classroom. Do you want your students to use it, or are you more looking to create stories for your students? There's both ways to really go about it.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is great. I know prior to me learning a little more about code, I always thought, oh, if I'm going to implement this, because I'm teaching all of the subjects, so obviously I have to follow my math standards, my writing standards, my reading, and you know, with everything going on too, it's like, do I have enough time for all this? And I think one thing that I definitely learned between this session that we just did now and what I learned over last week is, well, I was coming in thinking, oh, I'm gonna find like explicit math and science connections, but I've just found another platform that my students can write on while learning how to code. And maybe that's something that if they write a story and maybe they're done early, I can be like, oh, go to elementary and you know play with code and make it into like an interactive story instead. So I think that's a really awesome opportunity that a week ago and until now didn't realize that coding had that opportunity to connect so nicely to writing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point, is trying to make connections between all subject areas, because I don't
Mhm.
specifically think, we should teach subjects like in their own little cubicle. So we've had
100%.
we've had science stories, for example. So we've had students write about the water cycle on elementary with the little water droplet called Wilbur, and he needs to go through the water cycle.
I love that.
And so you follow Wilbur's journey and learn about all the stages of the water cycle. I think it was fifth grade, this classroom. And you also have, book reports done. Since you have the voiceover option, it could also be used for reflection. So whenever you finish even like with the About Me book or this Two Truths, One Lie sort of story, then at the end you can have them record a voiceover that kind of talks about, and that's how you know a little bit more about me, thank you, blah blah blah, or I really enjoyed this activity, what I found difficult. And you can have a reflective period as well in your unit, and that ties really well into like SEL and things like that. All of these things are all interconnected. You shouldn't think of them as like, how do I teach, writing by itself, writing.
Right there, writing's figured out. All right, let's move to, 100%. That's awesome.
I never really understood why some schools like to separate reading and writing and have like a reading block and then a writing block, but what they're writing and reading are not interconnected. Yeah. And plus, on top of that, we know that research for reading and writing needs to be content related. So they need to have the context behind whatever they're reading or writing about to actually understand what they're reading and writing about. And it's not necessarily the skills of how to identify the main idea. It's really understanding the context of it, because you need to know the vocabulary. You need to know the context of it. You can't disregard that because of, I don't know, XYZ reasons. So anyway, you know all this. You just graduated, all fresh and new in your brain.
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Maybe.
Yeah, so like for example, I don't know, what do you want to do on your story? Is there anything you want to do or anything you want to talk about in particular?
I don't know. Are there any other like events and functions you think we can explore within what we have going on right now?
Yeah, so a typical thing would be maybe you want to have your title page a little bit more jazzy, let's say. Okay. So we're going to use the event on page start. So let's go to the event graph. And on page start is probably going to be your favorite event. So click on events, and it's the first one because it's probably the one that you're going to use everywhere all the time. And on page start, just like the name says, you're going to do something when the page starts. And so what are we going to do? We're going to do something maybe with the text. So let's grab the text object. So there are different ways you can animate on Elementary. You can do a simple text effect animation. It's what I like to use when I have like a title page because it's easy. So we can just try that. You go to functions, and you'll see there's a lot of different ones. You can scale it, which makes it bigger and smaller. You can rotate it. See, math connection, degrees, for younger kids at least. So go up. It's near the top, I believe.
Ooh.
You have like bounce and blink. Those are fun.
Ooh, bounce sounds fun.
You could do bounce. You can do bounce. So grab bounce. So then try to connect the blocks together.
Ooh. Okay. So what I've been doing is the green seems to be like the centerpiece that I have to connect everything to.
Yep.
But then I see this white triangle right here, and that's throwing me off a bit.
Okay, so that's you use that when you want to sequence functions together. So sequencing is just like when you give instructions, you do step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. So you can sequence functions together. So you can first make it bounce, and then you can make it rotate, and then you can make it, I don't know, play a sound effect. You can do things like that.
I was definitely that student who like did like X, Y, and Z when I was supposed to do X. So like that's fantastic.
Yeah, so let's just try previewing it, and then we can do maybe a sequence.
my gosh, I love that. That's so great.
Yeah, so then you could go back to the previous page and or go to the next page and go to the previous page, and you'll see the animation run again. Yeah. Go, and then you can go back.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you're going back to the page.
So it always runs because it's always running on page start. So let's try to sequence something. Let's try the text effect, and then we'll make it bounce after you finish doing the text effect. So let's go back to function. Okay. Let's grab the text effect block. It's all the way at the top. So yeah, move. You can move it X pixels. Great. Okay, so right now it's kind of weird because they'll bounce before playing the text effect. So let's get rid of the connection between on-page start and bounce. You could just select it and delete it. Yep, great. Okay. And let's put play text effect first before the bounce.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay.
So what are you playing the text effect of? You need a text object to connect with it. Okay. So
I can delete.
You can, this? But you can also just connect the same object to multiple functions. So.
Oh, what?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't like connecting very much. Maybe you have to select out. I think it's because you have it. Yeah. Try. Oh. Yeah, I didn't like it very much when it's like that.
Okay.
Okay, so now you're saying on page start, play the text effect. And if I want to sequence it, then take the little triangle that you were referring to on the right-hand side of the play text object and play text effect and connect it to the next action that you want. So drag it.
So that would be bounce.
Yes.
And oh, that's nice that it like makes the triangle that I'm supposed to connect it to bigger as well.
Yeah. So you can when you explain to students what a function what a sequence is, it's just like when you're giving directions for making a pancake or something, or making directions for literally anything that has a step 1, step 2, step 3. And what we do is we're going to follow the little triangles and go from left to right. So on page start is our trigger. It's going to trigger what we're going to do. So on page start, we're going to, and then you follow the white lines and you go to play text effect. And then after you do play text effect, then you follow the triangle and go through, and then you bounce.
That's awesome.
Okay, so let's try that out. Press preview.
That's so great. Oh my goodness.
And you just sequenced your functions. So sequencing is a really big concept in computer science. So it's really big. And you just did it without really even knowing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's great.
So you can exit out. And just so that you can know, so you can also just bring the bounce so it follows, it's next to the play text effect block.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's less, yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. That way, maybe if you have a visual learner, that's going to make more sense for them instead of having it all over the page.
So this is sequencing, and you can also do functions in parallel. And parallel just means at the same time. So typically the example would be on page start, I want to play a voiceover while my text effect runs, or I want to play a background music while all my animation is going on. Or sometimes you want maybe 2 animations at the same time. Maybe I want to rotate and scale it at the same time because I can,
Because why not? Yeah.
Because why not? I can, so let's do it. And so to do that, let's go to layout. Play background music is very easy, so we can just do that really quickly. Go to layout design, go back to the layout and go to sounds. We never touch the sounds tab.
Ooh, I didn't even realize there was a sounds tab.
And then you have music on one side and sound effects on the other side. So you can just pick a music that, I don't know, something happy or something
Dude,
scary.
acoustic seems good.
Okay, so then you can preview it by clicking on the play button. It might be loud. Let's see. Does it not play? Oh, it's working
Oh,
on
there
it.
we go. I'm hearing it now.
Oh, I think it's because you're not sharing the sound with me.
I don't think I'm sharing sound either, so I'll stop that. I
It's
promise I
okay.
heard something though.
No problem. So, yeah, just click on the plus sign. Yeah, so it's now added to your page,
Oh.
but it doesn't play automatically. You have to code it to play. So to code it to play, you just go back to the event graph, you grab a function called play background music, or play, I think it's play background music. Play music, play music.
Okay.
You just grab that. And now here's the trick. Like, where do we connect this?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know if I know.
Just try it out. What's your best guess?
So that I would guess something needs to come from here as well. Like that's going to be happening.
Just
Let's
click
see.
on it. Just try it.
Can I connect more than I can connect more than one thing to that?
Okay, now
Okay.
select the music. So right now there's no music selected. You have to select one.
Okay.
And then you can press preview.
Oh my goodness. What? This is great. I hear the music as well as the typewriter. Oh my gosh.
And there you go. And so when you go to the next page, the music still continues unless you decide to stop it or you change the music. In that case, it'll change to the new music that you chose. So if you're creating like a story, you might want to have like spooky music when they enter like the haunted house or something. Okay, so one thing you notice is you can keep navigating through pages. So I totally forgot about that. And that's kind of awkward because you don't want people to navigate through the pages, right?
Yes.
So let's exit out. And good thing you showed me that because I would have forgotten it. So go to...
Totally by accident, but yes, totally planned that, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so go to, let's go to page 2. Yeah, so here we have a couple functions that lock the navigation. They make it so you have to click on something. So if you go to functions, there are 2 blocks. You have lock navigation right and lock navigation left. They should be at the bottom, if I believe. They're kind of skinny and long.
Oh, yeah, here they are.
Skinny and long. There we go. So you just want both of them because, or maybe you only want a one-on-one. I don't know. We'll just get both. This, so you can't go backwards, you can't go forwards, and it'll be good. So we want to, when do you think we want to trigger this to happen?
Ooh. Probably when you get to the page, so they're forced to click one of the buttons.
Yep. So in our case, we want to do that. So go to event and get the right function.
So would that be on page start then?
Yep, on page start. Great.
Awesome.
So yeah, and we already showed how you can do functions in parallel, and it's the same idea on page start and then on page start. So now try pressing preview. Now try swiping if you can.
Yep, not letting me go.
Okay, so that's the idea behind the other pages. You would want to do the same thing. So that way you can make it so the reader has to click on something. And this is really good for when you design escape rooms or nonlinear narratives because you're designing what the user or the reader is going to experience. It's not, it's free, but not really. So when you play games, they're designed to feel like you have freedom, but really they have constraints behind it and they make you go in a certain way. So it's the same idea, but much, much more simplified. So for elementary level, and that's kind of the idea behind it. So I don't know if you have any questions. We're already running out of time. I'm like, I planned to have you talk more, but then we got carried away with things.
That's okay. No, I feel like I had like a few ideas like before the start, and now I have so many different ideas of how I could use this. Like I said, whether I'm in person with my students or whether I'm online, like there are many ways that I could take and go about this. So thank you so much for showing me all, all the tips and hints that maybe I wouldn't have discovered on my own.
Yeah, and so like other things can be you can really easily create like hidden picture books because you can copy and paste images from one page to another. So you can use the same image on multiple pages by just clicking copy, paste, copy, paste. There's things like that that just speed up the process of the creation. And as a teacher, you can create a classroom and you can add your students to it. You can have up to 30 students for free, and you can review the students' stories while they write it. So it's really good for remote learning because you can see their progress and go along about that. And we have premium plans as well, but the premium plans really give you extra features as a teacher. So it's more for understanding how your students are working. So we have analytics on how long they spend writing, how long they spend coding, the number of characters they've written, the number of lines they've coded. And you can also give feedback page by page, just like you can do on like Google Slides or things like that. So you can be very specific about your feedback and be like, hey, John, you didn't capitalize the letter.
Come on, be better. Like, I won't give that as feedback, I promise.
Yeah, so oftentimes it's like little mistakes like that because we do not have spell check, so it's up to the students to figure out how to spell things because we do support multiple languages. So you can write in any language that you want on here, whether that's Chinese or Korean or Arabic or French, Spanish.
That's amazing.
And if you have Spanish speakers or other, we have the website translated in Spanish, French, German, Italian, partly Greek, mostly Greek, Portuguese, things like that. So you can also set the settings, and the blocks will be translated as well in that case. So yeah.
Once again, great to have in my back pocket. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. So yeah, like the remix is really, really, really important, I think, not just for like your own purpose of maybe using the same template for your quizzes over and over again, but also for your students to just jumpstart from somewhere. So you can try out the remix on any story. We have some curriculums on the website, and you could just remix it and see how it goes. One thing I do with the younger kids is I start the story for them, and then they can finish it on their own, or they can fill in the blanks of the story. So a difficult thing that I think even me, like as a writer, is how do you start writing when you see a blank page staring at you and it's like, what do I write about?
What do I do? There's so many things, but I just don't know. Yeah.
And it's kind of stressful to start. So sometimes like a story starter, or for people who struggle with the language, they might need help with, sequencing things. So you already have the pictures there and they just have to fill in the blanks and be like, okay, Sophia says hi. And then like Dave says hi back, things like that. So yeah, those are just some ideas. And it was great having you here. And let me know if you have any questions. If anyone in the chat has any questions, please let me know. I'm kind of viewing things as I go along, but it seems like people in chat are pretty quiet for the most part today. So yeah, as usual, I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to share with everybody that you know, and we'll go through, I think tomorrow is on digital citizenship is the topic, and we're going to make digital citizenship stories with a library media specialist. So that's our topic for tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining us, and we're signing